Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the regular council meeting of May 17th, 2021. Moved by Councillor Rigglehoff, seconded by Councillor McPherson. Be it resolved that the Township of Greater Madawaska calls to order the May 17, 2021 regular council meeting at 3 p.m. All in favor? Carried. And additions, deletions. We got one addition, Spindledrift Court easement agreement. Any declaration of pecuniary interest? Okay, I got to move back one and read that resolution. Moved by Councillor Rigglehoff, second by Councillor McPherson, that the agenda of the council meeting of May 17th be approved as revised. Addition of Spindle Court. All in favor? Carried. And delegations, McGilligan and Associates. I'll turn it over to you, Aaron.
All right. Just want to say thanks for the opportunity to present the draft consolidated financial statements. I'm just going to hit some of the highlights, and if you have any questions, just give me a shout or let me know, and we can stop and talk about it. So I'll start with the first page that just goes through the auditor's report. So it hasn't changed since last year, but we have 4 different paragraphs. So the opinion paragraph just identifies whose financial statements have been audited. So it's the Township of Greater Madawaska, including the library. And it also states our opinion that it's been presented fairly up to December 31st, 2020. So then the basis for the opinion, it's in accordance with Canadian generally accepted auditing standards, and also that we're independent in accordance with the ethical requirements. And then the responsibilities of management it just describes the responsibilities for the preparation of the financial statements. And the bottom paragraph is the auditor's responsibility. So it's our responsibility to express an opinion on the consolidated financial statements, and that it was conducted in Canadian generally accepted auditing standards. And as last year, there's also an additional link at the bottom to describe any additional responsibilities for us as auditors. So then we'll move on to the consolidated statement of financial position. So we'll start with cash. It's up about 400,000 from last year, as there's a large number of checks that were issued after year end that pertain to the 2020 year end. So you'll see an increase in the payables down below when we get there. And taxes receivable are up 18,000 in comparison to last year, but fairly comparable to the year before. So an accounts receivable is down 27,000, mainly due to the HST related to capital projects done throughout the year. So we had a little less this year than we did last year. So then we have your accounts payable and accrued liabilities. They're up 583,000, mainly due to those checks that were payables at the end of the year, but paid just subsequent to year end, and a few other payables for some capital projects as well. And the obligatory reserve funds, it's down slightly, or down 50,000, as some of the funds were used for capital projects in roads and rec. And the other deferred revenue, that's comparable to the prior year. Not much change there. And the long-term liabilities is down 400,000, just due to the scheduled repayments from the contractual obligations with that. And the employee future benefits, it's comparable to last year. It's mainly made up of the vacation accruals for the employees of the town. And then there's no change in the landfill closure and post-closure costs. This is based on the reports from the engineers, and there's no change in the estimate for the closing costs at this point. So then the tangible capital assets, it's increased by 335,000. mainly as a result of the additions exceeding the amortization for the year. And then the inventories and supplies, it's mostly made up of, salt and sand. And at the end of the year, there was less used during the year. So there was more salt and sand on hand at December 31st. And the prepaids, it's down a little bit from last year, and it's mostly made up of software and some costs paid ahead for some upcoming projects. So the equity and tangible capital assets, similar to the TCA. So that's up due to your change in additions as well as amortization and financing. And you'll see some additional details to that in note 13 if you wanted to take a look at that later. We can look at that. And then the reserve and reserve funds, it's gone up by the surplus and the transfer to the net transfers of reserves during the year. And then we have the library board, which changes by the net income of the library. And then the unfunded, what's that? Sorry. Oh, nothing. That's okay. The unfunded employee future benefits and landfill, those change during the year based on the landfill is based on the engineer report, and the employee future benefits based on where it is at the end of the year and how much has been used. So that's about it for the financial position. On page 3, you'll see the consolidated statement of operations, but I'm going to have you flip over to page 16, just because it gives a better financial picture. It's the schedule of general operations. So it takes out the employee future benefits and any change in landfill costs and some things like that. So I'm just going to talk to page 16 there, the schedule of general operations. So just going to do a comparison to budget. So it's fairly, the revenues were pretty comparable to budget. There's only a small difference, but you'll see throughout the biggest difference was the Ontario revenue. It was down. The big thing there was the capital project that was anticipated to be done in 2020. It's going to be pushed to 2021, still funded, but the revenue and the expenses will be in 2021 versus 2020. And also in there was some funding received for COVID funding as well, and some efficiency funding in the Ontario. And then the other revenue, sorry, it's up by a little bit there, 322 versus the 519,000. And those are a few things that are that would be under budgeted, would be the surplus of equipment and as well as the building and sewer permits. And then the total expenses, they were fairly comparable as well to budget. The biggest difference there would be the in general government. That was the efficiency review that was done this year and funded, but not budgeted for. And then there was some various savings in fire and recreation costs as well. So then you'll see like there's before transfers, there's an excess of 929,000. And then as you can see, there was some transfers there was the library. So it was 31.6, and then the net transfers of 562,000, which would be the transfers to and from during the year for various things, including the surplus, and then the transfer to equity intangible capital assets, which would be your net transfer of your additions and amortization, and as well as financing. And for that. And then I'm going to flip back. Sorry for flipping. I'm just going to flip back to page 5. Just to, some details on the cash flow. You'll see the ins and outs of the cash flow and where the cash went during the year. So it's broken down by, your working capital balances. So you're in and out of your AR, your inventories, your accounts payable, as well as the amounts paid for your financing and capital assets. So as an overall, it's gone up by 400,000, which we talked about earlier. And you'll see the biggest change in there would be your the payables that were in there at the end of the year. So payables have gone up at the end of the year by quite a bit, just because it's just a timing of when the checks were coming out. So those were paid subsequent to year end. So that's your biggest difference there on your cash flow. And so then on page 19, you'll just see this gives a little more detail of your reserves and where the money came from and where it went, just as far as reserves go, just for operating intangible capital assets. So you'll see that it's gone up by 563,000 as a result of the transfer of the surplus and the net transfers during the year. So we still have, I'm just going to touch on these two. On page 20, you'll see the Ontario Home Renewal Program is still there. And there's no change in that. And we've also expressed an opinion on that it's fairly stated in all material respects. And as I said, there's no changes with that. And then the library statements, they start at page 24. So it's fairly comparable to the prior year, except you'll see a change in the salaries had gone down. So corresponding revenue went down as well. So they have a small surplus at the end of the year, and but they're pretty consistent with the year before as far as cash and short-term investments. And that's about it, I think. I'm not going to review all the notes, but if there's any questions on the notes or anything that you wanted me to go through, I can. Is there any questions?
Any questions of council? No. On the one question, Aaron, on the library,
Yeah.
I was of the opinion that the township only transferred monies that were required. So why is there a surplus?
I think what happens there is the fundraising and donations, the library is allowed to keep separately. Like it's kept separate from the amount that's netted with the transfer from the township. So the penalties, the interest, the fundraising, and the donations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Nothing further then? Okay, so I'll, if council has no further questions on the financial statements, I'll read the resolution to pass that. So moved by Councillor Rigelhoff, second by Councillor McPherson. The council approves the 2020 financial statements as presented. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And thank you, Aaron.
All right.
So,
thank you.
So you will be providing us with the hard copies, I guess?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
And we'll move to facilities. Moved by Councillor Rigelhoff, seconded by Councillor McPherson, that council award tender 15-2021 to Wren Construction for a total of 407,000, HST included. Leonard, do you want to speak to that?
Yes. So we had the three different contractors come in. So with the amount with the HST included, it comes just within our budget to what we had budgeted for that building. So now if we go ahead and get Wren to do the construction, it's just a matter of the supply of building materials. So that'll be our date for the September completion date might have to move back a wee bit depending on availability of materials at this time.
Okay. And where are Ren out of?
Cobden.
Cobden?
Yeah, he does a lot of the tarp buildings, but he also does the framed ones also.
Okay.
So he's very experienced and he does a lot of these. So he's done a lot of these buildings. So that's why his price is right in there good, because he was able to price it properly. Like, not saying like he knows them inside out, is what he says.
Is Kluche Construction, is that road construction part, or? Is that
Yeah, it's all the same company out of Pembroke or Pembroke, I think it is. Yeah. So.
Okay. Okay. So,
Mr. Mayor,
Councillor Frost,
on mute.
you're muted there, Jack.
I think Councillor McPherson was in ahead of me there, but
Oh.
I'll just a quick question. The materials you say are going to be purchased by us? For the shed?
All the materials are purchased by the contractor. The contractor does the job from the foundation up. It's 100% complete build on their part.
Good.
Okay, no, I misheard that, I guess. Sorry, thanks.
Councillor McPherson.
Yeah, so Leonard, you answered part of my question when you explained what was happening. In terms of, and obviously availability of construction materials is, I'm starting to hear that more and more. Is there the possibility, so I guess the question is, will we end up with a partially finished structure that sits through the winter? Or is the expectation that if they can't source the materials and complete the construction prior to winter, that they won't, that this will be deferred until next year?
Yes, if they can't get materials, it'll be deferred till next year. All the contractors that come in on the meetings, we discussed the options because if we couldn't get materials, and that was brought up that would have to happen, and I'd have to bring it back to council later on if that's the case. So the biggest thing is roof truss. They can pretty well get everything else. It's the roof truss that might be that might slow it down. So if anything, if it takes 3-4 months, we might be into October, November. We probably could have the building up by the end of the year, but we may not have the sand in it. That might be the only disadvantage of waiting on roof truss.
Okay, but we won't have a partially finished structure that sits idle then. So if they can't get, if they don't have all the materials sourced, they're not going to start construction.
No, and that's I talked with Dennis already about it, and he's supposed to find out for me his timelines on the materials, and then we're going to discuss it from there.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? Seeing none, so I'll read the resolution once more. Moved by Councillor Rigglehoff, second by Councillor McPherson, the council award tender 15-2021 to Ren Construction for a total of 407,000, HST included. All in favor? All in favor? Carried. I don't know if Chuck's frozen.
Oh, I know.
Oh, okay. And public works, we have nothing. Environmental, there's nothing. Protection services, Fire Houston. Do you want to speak to this, Darrell? Where I read the resolution?
So as you all know, last council meeting, the Houstons came back. They were fined 2020 having a legal fire in the amount of $20,770.50. $750. They've asked for an adjustment of 11,000. We've come back with a proposal to kind of meet them halfway. We're just looking for, and also to issue a 1-year fire ban on council's approval. So we're looking at so the difference of 4830. So they'd be getting a re-invoice for 15,847.50.
Okay, council, questions of council. Councilor McPherson.
So, Daryl, I know one of their concerns was the timing for the equipment and whether that was recorded properly. And I'm just wondering, is that the basis for the adjustment, that there's a recognition that maybe the times weren't quite accurate and therefore a true up and an adjustment for that reason?
I would say the times were accurate. Dispatch, when they send me a fire fax, the trucks are called in and they're called out. Their basis that we were gone at 4:30, in my opinion, is not substantiated. The fire fax does not deviate from the numbers, but and to show a little bit of good faith, we figured we can make an adjustment for them because it is quite a substantial fine. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that clarification.
So if I understand correctly, when we spoke at the committee meeting, Daryl, was all the hours stayed the same, but you gave a break on the rate per hour.
Yes, the wages are not going to be adjusted. The rate for the apparatus will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll read the resolution. Moved by Councillor Rigglehoff, seconded by Councillor McPherson. The council instructs staff to reissue an invoice and advise the Houstons that option 2 has been approved, which includes an hourly apparatus rate has been adjusted to $345, which is the difference between the original amount that would apply if council accepted the proposal from the Houstons, full wages, cost recovery, a 1-year fire ban from the date council makes their decision regarding the request. If during the ban, Houstons have a fire, they will be required to pay the adjusted fine council has granted in the amount of $48.30. All in favor? That's carried. OPP review, detachment board proposal. Allison, do you want to speak to this?
Yes, so some information was presented to council at the last council meeting. The attachments have all been provided. So I had a meeting last week with the province and then a further meeting with the leg CAOs to discuss the requirement for a board. So what is being suggested is that there would be representation from each of the 7 municipalities to sit on a board, along with community representation of 2 appointees and 2 provincial appointees. Right now, this replaces the CPAC that has been defunct for a few years now. And it's to move us forward under the new legislation. So at this time, we don't need to indicate what member of council would sit on this board. It's proposed that this will come into effect in the spring of 2022. However, there's been significant pushback on that date timeline just because 2022 there is an election. So I'm not sure if that date's going to change or if it's going to remain the same. So at this point, all that I need from council is a resolution to say that they're fine with the setup that's been proposed by the CAOs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so is there any concern from council on the setup? Councillor Rigglehoff.
No, thank you, Mayor. I was just going to move for Allison, be the mover.
Okay, I got a resolution here, so I'll read that.
Okay.
Matter of fact, you are going to move it. Moved by Councillor Rigglehoff, seconded by Councillor McPherson. The council supports a rent-through detachment board composition of 11 members as follows. 1 council representative from each municipality, 2 community appointees, 1 resident of either Arm Power Greater Madawaska or McNabb Braeside, 1 resident of either Admaston, Bramley, Horton, Brentford, Whitewater, and 2 provincial appointees. And further, the council hereby appoints 1 member of council as the representative for the Township of Greater Madawaska. Well, we're not really doing that though, Allison?
But we're just acknowledging that we're appointing one member.
Okay. And further hereby, should I write that in, acknowledges the appointment?
Mm,
Because it says appoints. No, just leave it?
I think it's fine.
Okay. And further, the council hereby appoints one member of council as a representative for the Township of Greater Madawaska. And furthermore, that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the other Renfrew detachment municipalities for inclusion in the submission to the province. All in favor? And that's carried. And planning department, so the first item on the agenda is the building permit report. So it looks like Daryl had a pretty busy April.
That's for sure. Considering last year, I don't even know if I issued a permit. It looks
You
like I did
didn't.
not. So
Yeah, so 5.7. Yeah, last year being our biggest year ever at 15.5 million, we're already at 11. So it's getting off with great gangbusters here.
this month's looking not quite as heavy as April, but we're still got a few weeks left.
Good. Special events permits. So this is an annual resolution that we have, moved by Councillor Rigelhoff, seconded by Councillor McPherson. The council approves the issuance of a 3-year operating permit for Calabogie Motors Park for the period July 29, 2021 through July 28, 2024, as required under section bylaw 14-2016. And furthermore, the council approves the following special events to be held at Calabogie Motorsports. The number 1, Vintage Road Racing Association, to be held July 2nd through July 4th, 2021. Canadian Superbike Championship, to be held July 9th through July 11th, 2021. Sports Car Championship Canada, to be held August 6th through August 8th, 2021. Calabogie Summer Classic, to be held August 20th through 22nd, 2021. Any questions of council? Councillor McPherson.
Just a question about the operating permit. Do we always do a 3-year permit, Allison?
That might be a better question for Luke.
Mr. Desjardins.
Thank you, Councillor. Under I quoted this section from our noise bylaw. We kind of have a hybrid noise bylaw in our municipality that deals with general noise, but also deals with the racetrack and has some specific provisions related to the racetrack. And one of them, I quoted in my report this section in full that says an operating permit is required and they're issued on a 3-year basis. So without my prompting, Calabogie Motorsports put in an application to renew their operating permit.
Okay, so in essence, what you've done is combined what could have been 2 separate motions into one, and saved having to have that second item.
I suppose, yes.
All right, thank you.
Any further questions? All in favor? That's carried. And Spindle Drift, do you want to speak to that, Luke?
Yeah, thank you. This was in addition to the this afternoon's council package. There were some agreements that came just recently that the one property owner will sign the easement agreement for a drainage course coming off the Spindle Drift Court. The easement agreement is attached to the report.
Questions of council? I'll read the resolution. Moved by Councillor Rigelhoff, second by Councillor McPherson. The council approves bylaw 24/2021 to enter into an easement agreement with William Hicks. All in favor? Carried. And you expect that to be signed tomorrow, Luke? Is that what we're hoping?
Yeah, now that it's approved, it can be signed whenever
Okay.
Parties are able.
Okay. And finance and admin, 9051 tax rates. Renee?
Yes, this is the bylaw to pass the 2021 tax rates. The ratios were recently passed at the county level, therefore we are able to proceed with passing the tax rate. The tax rate is based for the lower tier, so municipal, is based on the budget we passed in December, where we had identified the levy required to operate. At the time, we had estimated that the increase would be approximately 2.5% as per the management plan. Based on the ratios, the increase to the township portion of the property tax is actually 2.17%, so slightly lower. Therefore, with the county and education, the overall increase to the residential property owners 1.93%. I've written here, usually try to break it out into an increase per 100,000 of assessment for comparison purposes. This accounts for about $17.79 increase from 2020 to 2021 per $100,000 in assessment. I've also just highlighted in this report a bit that as you know, in 2021, there was no reassessment, and then MPAC has deferred it again. Therefore, we will not be anticipating an increase in assessment or review and assessment in 2022. It's pushed to 2020.
Pushed to 2023?
That's correct.
Okay, and the increase of 1779, that is for all three levels, correct?
Yeah, so that's a total taxation increase, yes, annually.
Okay. Questions of council? Moved by Councillor Rigelhoff, second by Councillor McPherson. The council approves bylaw 21/2021 final tax levy, being a bylaw to provide for the adoption of the estimates for sums required for the year 2021, adoption of the 2021 tax rates, and to further provide for the penalty and interest in default of payment thereof for 2021. All in favor? Carried. Financial update. And back to you again, Renee.
So this is a memo. It serves as a supporting document to the presentation Aaron just provided to you on the financial statements. This simplifies it a bit more into our BCR format that we're used to seeing. So the financials for 2020 resulted in an operating surplus of just over 436,000. The operating surplus, I've highlighted a few items that you could, so I've attached the BCR to the report. However, highlighted a few items that account for the surplus. So on the operating revenue side, there's a little piece there where we usually transfer taxation to capital. Some of our roads were deferred for surfacing into 2021. So I've included a little transfer here. So the 436 will have a transfer that goes to 2021 of 37,994 to complete those road projects. We had, increase in supplementals over budget. There were some items in here that you'll see will have that we're above budget, like penalties and interest. However, we're within prior years. So what it is we last year we passed the budget post-pandemic. So I think we had decreased some of these items expecting a lower than budget revenues. So that's why you'll see those changes, those adjustments. Protection, I think that Aaron talked about that, in fire services, there's an increase, there's the fine piece, and then there's in development, we have 18,800 of increase or higher than budget of fees and zoning amendments. This is all going in line with the increase in movement in the township. Moving forward to the expenses, we were lower than budgeted by 192,000. This excludes also both sides exclude the extraordinary expenses. The extraordinary expenses are more relatable to some additional funding we received in 2020 to account for bigger projects which were expended in the year. Some highlights are in there. Really, the decrease in programming would have and closures would have accounted for some public works, environment or facilities, library and recreational decreases in expenses. And moving over to the capital side, I've attached the capital reconciliation. It just demonstrates where the funds came out of. And what we have is we budgeted for 2020 a debenture of 1 million. This has not been debentured. It will be debentured with our 2020 debenture as one. So this will be coming in a future council meeting. As I talked about already, the capital work in progress. So some of the surplus will be moved to 2021 for this. Otherwise, the reserve and reserve funds have increased by approximately or just over 600,000. This is due to some additional funding we received for COVID and additional collection and development charges. And I think that wraps it up. The next steps, we will be bringing a report to council in the probably for the next council meeting to recommend allocations for the surplus. Currently, they sit in a generic reserve or general reserve. So we'll be recommending on how to reallocate that.
Okay, questions of council? Okay, good job. And we'll move to the grant funding update and back to you, Renee.
So this is just another memo to provide some update on the grant funding. I've added a table here which has a status of successful, unsuccessful. So you can see here, recently we found out we were unsuccessful for the application for the LED signs. And then we've also found out we were unsuccessful for the parkland and recreational master plan. The LED signs were new in addition when we were looking at grants. However, the master plan was included in the 2021 budget. So I've moved them from here, but I'm gonna go forward a bit, is I've moved them actually to the bottom of the modernization funding sheet, as we are still awaiting some of our grant outcomes, like the red grant for the Kickstart Economic Development and Tourism for $150,000. I'm adjusting as we go. Should we not be successful with that grant for a total of 150,000, we would not need to expend in modernization the 150,000, which would allow council to reallocate some of these funds to the master plan or LED signs or whatever. So it's just, I guess this memo is just for council of an update to let you know that we were unsuccessful on those two, but we continue to reevaluate. We still have a few grants out there that are awaiting outcome. So we will provide an update on the grants over the next few months to if should we need to reallocate some projects.
Thank you. Questions of council? Councillor McPherson.
So really nice to see that the COVID-19 capital funding application related to the Ginza recreation facility was successful. And I see that Leonard has dropped off, so obviously he can't answer this question, but any information or any ideas on timing for completing that work? I know it's not too late into the year, but considering that construction projects have to be lined up well in advance, I'm just wondering whether the expectation is that work will be completed before the fall, or whether this is something that's going to carry over.
So we recently found out about this one, and it's going to be discussed at the facilities manager meeting in June, and I'll ask that a memo come back to council.
All right. Yeah, I just it would be really great if the work were completed during this year in time for ice skating in the winter, but recognizing that these things, again, small projects are sometimes more difficult to line up than even larger projects. So.
Okay, anything further? No? So that's, it was nice to see that we had those 3 successes there. So that's 60,000 that doesn't have to come from the ratepayers, which is a great thing. Award asset management plan and software, Renee.
So this is a recommendation to single source the asset management plan and software. Under OREG 588.17, we're required to review the asset management plan. It was to be reviewed by July 2021. This has been pushed to July 2022, allowing us some time to do a proper review. We're recommending going with the Public Sector Digest for a few reasons. It's used locally by municipalities. They provide the ability to do a review, create the plan, and then implement it into their software. The software is compatible with the accounting software that we're considering for the township, which we will be going out for financial software soon. So this way we're able to use this software with the new financial, as well as it's compatible with our tangible capital assets. So there's a few reasons why we would head this way. And I failed to mention a bit on my last presentation on the successes. We were successful for receiving a $50,000 grant for the asset management plan review. At the time of the review, we were anticipating just reviewing the asset management plan. This allows us to do the software also. And yes, so if you have any questions.
Okay, Councillor McPherson.
So with the asset management plan, the expectation is that they will actually review or investigate our roads and our facilities and update the plan accordingly.
Yes, so yes, they will do that. They'll work with our staff to provide some insight on the assets, the conditions, the road condition assessment. And then the new software has this great ability to really strategize. And so not only will they come in and do a strategy with us, but we're able to update it in the system, update pictures. Our public works, when they're out on the road, they can take a picture and update and say, hey, we need to review this road because, or change the PCI on it. So it allows you to really have a moving document when it comes to asset management and not just a file on the shelf.
And Renee, you wouldn't know this likely, but Allison, I think you likely would. In the past, like the current iteration of the asset management plan, was that completed in-house, or did we have somebody come in and do the work with us?
So initially it was completed by externally, and then the annual updates were completed in-house. So
okay, and when was that annual one? Or so the initial one?
That was the one that you have, the most recent one, that was just an internal update.
Okay, but the original the original preparation of it, how long ago was that? Roughly.
It's been a while. In all honesty, I think it's been
5 years, probably.
Maybe 2013.
Oh, that long.
Okay, yeah. So in my opinion, this is a great opportunity to have a third party who doesn't have any vested interest or anything like that be able to to help with that or lead that assessment of our roads and facilities. I think it's a great step forward because it's always good to take the emotion and all of that out of it and have somebody who again doesn't have that vested interest but provide that critical eye and critical thought process towards ensuring that we've got the best information available to the team as possible.
Yeah. I think it'll be a great assistance, with the pavement condition indexes that we're required to have and coming up with a standard that we want for the township to have these consultants help us with that, because it's an area that we as councillors aren't that familiar with and would need a lot more help. I know we've gone through it at the county level and they've been using something similar, but to have, when we did it before, whatever year it was basically an Excel spreadsheet. So to have this as a program is going to be very advantageous for us, I personally believe.
Because I believe when I saw the sample, it was you're able to run scenarios and see what the financial implications of the various scenarios are. So it allows council to make, informed decisions with regard to debentures and future tax rates, etc. So I think it's going to really empower council to make good decisions.
Okay, so I'll read the resolution. Moved by Councillor Rigglehoff, seconded by Councillor McPherson. The council approve a single source award contract to be awarded to the Public Sector Digest Inc. PSD to update the township's asset management plan and the purchase of citywide software implementation for a total cost of $68,993.28, including HST. All in favor? And that's carried. Award electronic records system, Renee.
So this is to once again single source the award for file hold electronic documents software and the TOMREM, so the Ontario Municipal Records Management System. As you know, with increased requirements under records retention and FIPA, it's important to properly retain files. Going with this provider, I believe actually TOMREM is one of the only providers for the actual, what it is a method of filing. So they would provide this. These are two awards. File hold is the software that it's kept in, which actually has an ability to flag when files come to term or we need to review them. So there's a few housekeeping administrative pieces that come with the software. The township actually worked with a few municipalities in Renfrew County to see if we can get a discount on buying the software. We were able to currently we have five municipalities, so that's a 15% discount on the software, which accounts for just over $2,400. Should we proceed that way? Right now, it seems that everybody is interested in this discount and proceeded with file hold. The purchase price up here of $18,789 does not include a discount. The software is like file hold and the electronic filing is being funded through the modernization funding. Therefore, once everybody has proceeded and we realize our discount, it will just reduce the amount of funds we'll be taking out of the modernization that will remain in there for other projects.
Okay, questions of council? Councillor McPherson.
So do we have an official record retention policy? Do we follow provincial guidelines? How do we manage our document retention at this point in time?
So we do have a records retention bylaw. It does need to be updated. And we do follow provincial legislation where it does apply. So this would be advantageous for moving forward for staff to disposing of records that once we no longer need to keep them, they are automatically disposed of, but also for looking for old files or information that, you know, you can type in a keyword and everything associated with that you'll be able to find within a few moments, as opposed to going through numerous banker's boxes.
So, and you know, you just hit on a very important factor, and that's obviously the information has to be in this storage solution. The information, like how much of our municipal information is currently soft copy as opposed to hard copy, and for what already is soft copy, is there a process that will come along with this arrangement that will assist in transferring any soft copy information that's currently being stored into the solution, and then also for any hard copy that obviously would have to be scanned or loaded? Any thoughts around the process behind that and how long it will take, what the level of effort will be, any of that?
Go ahead.
So currently we have most of our files are soft copy. So we're mostly not electronic. Since we've been exploring this software, some of our like in the financial side, we've been saving lots to PDF. This way we could just move it over when the system is in place. Through this contract, we do have some hours for scanning, and then the provider, which is Image Advantage, provides also that service should we ever want to go that way. I've used this in my past workplaces, this type of software, and we use it mostly for mapping. Mapping was good for scanning, outsourced through Image Advantage. Otherwise, we would be doing it mostly in-house, having practice to print to PDF and scanning as we go. But I'm not quite sure how long it would take. We could have the ability, through summer students, to apply for a grant and have a summer student 1 year come in and scan throughout the summer. That's what I've done in other workplaces too. It works very well. And then what's nice about it is the system automatically OCRs the PDF. So even if it's an old bylaw, it's uploaded overnight at OCR. So the next day you're able to search these documents.
Okay, I'll read the resolution. Moved by Councillor Rigglehoff, seconded by Councillor McPherson. The council authorized staff to purchase the Ontario Municipal Records Management System TOMREMS compliance services at a cost of $4,070 net HST. That council authorized staff to single source the purchase of FileHold electronic document and records management system with Image Advantage for $18,789 net of HST. All in favor? And that's carried. Development charge study. Renee, once again.
This is to award the development charges. So we went out, I guess back up a bit. Currently we have a development charge study that's in place, and it will be expiring in 2022. So we went out to market on March 22nd for a professional service for the preparation of the development charge study. Through the process, we received 2 proposals. The proposals were received by JP2G Consultants and Watson and Associates. The proposals were reviewed based on financials, as well as experience and team qualifications, understanding of objectives, some quality approach and methodology, and proposed work plan. Currently, so as part of the review, the lowest we had highlighted, the lowest bidder may not necessarily be chosen as through the development charge study. we require other pieces with the quality of the approach and methodology and the experience. Through the two proposals received, there's a difference of a couple of $100. So it allowed us to really focus on what the consultant would bring to the table. Therefore, we're recommending going forward with Watson and Associates. I've provided some key highlights of added value to Watson. Gary Scanlon is the project manager, but also the director. He has over 30 years of experience and has done in excess of 400 development charge studies. There's a really qualified team, and then the methodology, they provided some insight on other items they review. So it would provide us some added value on really thinking on the full picture in our future with development charges for the.
Okay, questions of council? Seeing none, moved by Councillor Rigglehouse, seconded by Councillor McPherson, the council award RFP 10-2021 development charge study to Watson and Associates Economists Limited for $23,303. All in favor? And that is carried. Procedure bylaw.
This is just to update section 7.2 as to when items are to be to the clerk. So instead of it being at the end of day on Tuesday, I believe is what it said previously, that is now moved to 8:30 a.m. on Monday.
Okay. Any questions? It's an information item.
There's a resolution on the table on that one.
There is a resolution. Oh, I'm sorry. Moved by Councillor Ross, by Councillor McPherson, the council rescinds bylaw 03/2021, and furthermore, the council approves bylaw 22/2021, being a bylaw for governing the calling, place, and proceedings of meetings. All in favor? Carried. Economic Development, Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus. So that was some more information on the EORN project. And, there's a letter going into the paper signed by all the mayors in Eastern Ontario. And then, like I mentioned at the last council meeting, we'll be getting individual letters, which through staff will forward to council for distribution and also to the residents. So that hasn't been put out by EORN yet, but it will be hopefully within the next week. So that's information. I think I did, the two of them are, and the other was the information on the gig project, exactly what it is. Community health, remote rural mental health. That was the item that was brought back to council. Council Perry had questions on it the last time, so I'll deal with her directly if she does have any questions. Right now, they had sent this out and they wanted everyone to read it and become aware. I did speak with the sender between the last council meeting and this one, and they will be forwarding more information to us and telling us exactly what they would like us to participate in it. So there'll be more coming on that. Community Parks and Recreation, Canada Day 2021. Moved by Councillor Rigglehouse, second by Councillor McPherson. The council directs staff to publicize the cancellation of Canada Day activities in the township in 2021. Questions of council? All in favor? Carried. Letter from the town of Renfrew, so that was an information item. They got that big grant to enhance the recreation facilities in the town of Renfrew, so I did send them out a congratulatory letter on that because it certainly will benefit our township as well as many of our ratepayers and children especially take part in the using that complex. So that was a great deal there. Dacre and Area Community Association. So there's a letter there. I'll read the resolution. Moved by Councillor Rigglehoff, seconded by Councillor McPherson. The council approves the increase to the Dacre and Area Community Association (DACA) operating budget from 5,000 to 8,000 as a result of the recreation events and Canada Day 2021 events being cancelled. Therefore, sponsorship of 1,000 for Canada Day and 2,000 for recreation will not be paid. Okay, so we're not paying those two, but we're increasing it in the and that's similar to last year. Am I correct? Yes.
That is correct, and that is what we did with Madawaska Hall.
Yes. Okay. Questions of council? All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Councillor Rigglehoff, seconded by Councillor McPherson. Be it resolved that the following minutes are approved by Council: April 19, 2021 regular council and May 6, 2021 special council. All in favor? And carried. Moved by Councillor Rigglehoff, seconded by Councillor McPherson, that the council meeting of March 17, 2021 at 4:01 p.m. enter into closed session pursuant to sections of the Municipal Act regarding litigation or possible litigation, causeway easement, property ownership, a trade secret, or significant technical, commercial, financial, and labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which if disclosed could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization. Ferguson Lake Road. All in favor? And that's carried. So Sean. Okay, thank you. And we're moving back to open session. Moved by Councillor Rigelhoff, seconded by Councillor McPherson, that the council meeting of May 17th, 2021 move back into open session at 5:29 p.m. All in favor? Carried. And resolutions. Moved by Councillor Rigelhoff, second by Councillor McPherson. The council instructs the following as a result of closed meeting item: litigation and potential litigation, causeway easement, property ownership, proceed as directed. All in favor? Carried. And Ferguson Lake, that will be the new one. Moved by Councillor Rigelhoff, seconded by Councillor McPherson. The council instructs the following as a result of closed meeting item: a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations supplied in confidence of municipality, which if discussed could be reasonably expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual and other negotiations of a person, groups of persons, or organization. Ferguson Lake Road. That the council for the Township of Greater Madawaska supports alternative 3 with a design speed of 60 kilometers per hour for project start to Constant Creek Bridge, and with a design speed of 70 kilometers per hour for Constant Creek from Constant Creek Bridge to Kennelly Mountain Road for phase 1 of the reconstruction of Ferguson Lake Municipal Class Environmental Assessment. All in favor? That's carried. And can we, so that's that. We got a few more items, Tyler, if you prefer to, okay. Allison, can we add under new business John's discussion on the tree?
We could do that as roads chairman's update.
Okay. So do you want to give us your update again about the tree, and do you need some information from the county?
I think we would need some further clarification from the county. Maybe even if we had Steve take a look and see. I didn't measure it. I don't know what the distance is, but if it's county's tree, we should have them take care of it.
Okay. Allison, could someone reach out to the county? See,
I'm sorry, but I'm not quite sure what the issue is.
well, the county owns from the bridge so many meters each way. We don't know exactly what that distance is. Is it 30 meters? Is it 30 feet? And then if it's this tree that has to be removed is within their area, they may have to remove it.
I believe this was discussed at the roads manager meeting, and Steve was going to go and look at it when he had an opportunity to see if it was on county property or not.
No, I don't. Okay, I wasn't.
Okay, maybe taken care of. Thank you.
Yeah, so if not, if there's no action within a week, let me know and I'll follow up with the public works supervisor.
Okay.
Okay, and under just a minute, I got another chairperson's update. Under facilities, I've been getting emails through council about why council hasn't reached out about a yoga class at Barnett, and that council has made some decisions, and that hasn't been discussed at council that I'm aware of. So has anyone reached out or talked to them?
Are you referring, Mr. Mayor, or Allison, I'll defer to Allison. Is you referring to our conversation we had earlier?
I'm not sure. I haven't received any emails, so I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm getting one saying, you know, why wouldn't we reach out to the person instead of But so did somebody reach out to whoever did somebody try to book it? I'm kind of in the dark here.
So I'm also kind of in the dark. So nobody has reached out to the township to utilize Barnett Park for a yoga class. And I have not, and the facilities manager has not contacted anyone about the matter.
But I did. I looked into who that person might be. They just had her name of her yoga class or whatever. Anyway, the taproom manager is a friend of hers. So I had her contact her and have her take down the posting from Facebook.
Okay. Well, okay, well, maybe I'll discuss it with you then after, Charles.
By all means.
Okay, thanks. Okay, moved by Councillor Rigglehouse, seconded by Councillor McPherson. Be it resolved that the following bylaws, 21-2021 final tax levy, 22-2021 procedural, 24-2021 spindle drift cord easement agreement be deemed read a second and final time and passed by council. And furthermore, that 23-2021 confirmatory be deemed read a first, second, and final time and passed by council at the regular council meeting held May 17, 2021. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Rigglehouse, seconded by Councillor McPherson, that the regular council meeting of May 17th be adjourned at 5:35 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried.